Howdy folks, good late morning. It is Sunday, August 22nd, 2021, and right now you might be wondering where I am. Well, I'm actually over at the Cedar Point Environmental Park, as a matter of fact, and this is a well-known historical feature found at the Cedar Point Environmental Park. This is the cookie house, and in terms of, as I mentioned, historical context, this is a very important facility. So this facility was built by a one John Bass Jr. At the time, he was one of the leading marine biologists during his time in the earlier 1900s. Now, what's neat about this facility is it was one of the first land-based marine research facilities in the state of Florida. Point in fact, the facility was so revolutionary as to where it was the first marine-based research facility that was further south than North Carolina at its time. And you may be wondering, why do they call it the cookie house? Well, they call it the cookie house because if you look along the architecture of the building, you can see all those pine cross sections along the wall there. Well, basically, yeah, they use the local pine that is around here, so predominantly slash pine, and then they would basically just use cement and wooden blocks to build the facility. So when the facility was active, there were many well-known marine biologists, naturalists, biologists, you name it, who all worked at this facility. And at the time, there were a lot of breakthrough discoveries that happened here in that little building right there. And as a matter of fact, it actually tells you a bit more about the place. So yeah, it was built in 1931, and yeah, this mostly just tells you a bit more about the construction. But yeah, look at this, up to 470. That's the exact number of how many species were discovered. But particularly, this building was shut down back in 1944, as it was basically around World War II. So I'm sure back then the country was focusing more on the war effort at the time. But eventually, in the same area, a couple of years later, there was another well-known leading researcher by the name of Eugenie Clark. She's also been known as the Shark Lady. Let's just say during her time, she was one of the leading researchers on the subject of sharks, who weren't as respected at the time. So she actually helped open up a new facility called the Cape Haze Marine Laboratory. It was also around this area where it was, but that's where, so you figure she predominantly did her research down here as well. So eventually, the Cape Haze Marine Laboratory, they decided as a company to move up to Sarasota, which is about an hour or so to the north of here. And eventually the facility was renamed as the Mote Marine Laboratory. And I've actually had the honor of going there quite a couple of times, and it's a really remarkable place, you guys. Highly recommended spot. But if it were not for the cookie house, who knows if the amount of research or discoveries would have been made down here anyways. So, as I said, this building has a very important historical context. So really, if it weren't for the cookie house, it's possible that we may not even have had the Mote Marine Laboratory. Who knows? But to finish up this video, I want to show you guys one more little feature. Give me a second, you guys. Alright, you guys. So I just want to feature this last particular plant that I noticed as I was walking by. So right here, we've got ourselves the wild coffee plant. Now you may be wondering, is it really coffee? No, it isn't. It just happens to be the name that stuck, as the fruits that they produce as they ripen really look similar to the true coffee beans. However, though, the difference is these do not produce caffeine like regular coffee beans do. So essentially, it will not give you the same effect. And actually, point in fact, you eat enough of these raw, they actually act as an emetic, which basically means it can cause you to vomit. However, though, if it's actually prepared properly and boiled, it can actually, the leaves themselves, if prepared in a tea, for instance, can actually act as a diaphoretic, which, in a sense, means it allows you to sweat. However, though, I guess sunlight down here allows you to sweat plenty, right? But the plant has been known to treat particular conditions such as pneumonia or even the fever or just even a common cold. So in a sense, since I'm just coming off of a cold, probably would have been really useful, right? But that is the predominant use for the wild coffee. But they can also even act as a laxative as well, like if you extract from the roots in particular. And it helps deal with constipation as well. But it is indeed a valuable plant for our wildlife. They do indeed feed on it. But yeah, you don't want to eat too much of this, especially in its raw form. It's not safe. As I mentioned, it can really cause you to vomit. But also here is the Cedar Point Environmental Center. Shout out actually goes to a good friend of mine, Gerald Thompson. He's actually like the leading environmental educator who works here. And yeah, so he helps host tours and educational lessons at this place. And unfortunately, due to some of the red tide going on, he's had to kind of decrease the amount of programs he's had out here. But this is to you, Gerald. I know I haven't really been able to see you lately, but I've just been really busy with my job. So hopefully we can see each other again real soon. But yeah, this is a cool place, you guys. And they got quite a bit of hiking trails too for you guys to check out. So alrighty. Hey, I thought I would share that with you guys. Hope you learned something of value in the video. I kind of did like a combination, historical, and then also talking about plants as well. So, hope you guys enjoy your Sunday. And once again, journey on a journey, southwards. Take care, folks. See ya.